Was he thinking, you know, I need a big black marker? In early 2004, in a speech during the New Hampshire primary, I called George W. Bush a deserter from his time in the Texas Air National Guard. In response, the White House released his military records in the hope of disproving the charge. What Bush didn't know was that I already had a copy of his military records, uncensored, obtained in the year 2000, and there is one glaring difference between the records released in 2000 and those he released in 2004. A name had been blacked out. In 1972, two airmen were suspended for failing to take their medical examination. One was George W. Bush, and the other was James R. Bass. In 2000, the documents show both names. But in 2004, Bush and the White House had Bass's name blacked out. Why didn't Bush want the press and the public to see Bass's name on his military records? Perhaps he was worried that the American people would find out that at one time James R. Bass was the Texas money manager for the Bin Ladens.
That there has been Saudi oil money involved.
He highlights the fact that President Bush and other members of government were directors and board members of various companies which are notorious for having Saudi investors, and the United States is a major investor in an Iraqi oil.
Why would Saudis, who had all the oil in the world, go around the globe to invest in this lousy oil company? And the thing is, it had one big asset. Harkin had one thing going for it, which is that George W. Bush was on its board of directors at a time when his father was president of the United States.
When you're the president's son, you've got unlimited access combined with some credentials from a prior campaign. In Washington, D.C., people tend to respect that. Access is power. And I can find my dad and talk to him anytime of the day.
Yes, it helps to be the president's son, especially when you're being investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
In 1990, when Mr. Bush was the director of Harkin Energy, he received this memo from company lawyers, warning directors not to sell stock if they had unfavorable information about the company. 1 week later, he sold $848,000 worth of Harkin stock. 2 months later, Harkin announced losses of more than $23 million.
The James Baker law partner who helped Bush beat the rap from the SEC was a man by the name of Robert Jordan, who, when George W. became president, was appointed ambassador to Saudi Arabia. The American people.
Then he shows that the government used scare tactics and the idea that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction to justify
Fox News has obtained an FBI bulletin that warns terrorists could use pen guns, just like in James Bond, filled with poison as weapons.
Good evening, everyone. America is on high alert tonight, just 4 days before Christmas.
A possible terror threat as bad as or worse than 9/11.
But where? How? There's nothing specific to report.
Be on the lookout for model airplanes packed with explosives.
And the FBI is warning ferries may be considered particularly at risk for hijacking.
Could these cattle be a target for terrorists?
Fear does work. Yes. You can make people do anything if they're afraid.
How do you make them afraid?
Well, you make them afraid by creating an aura of endless threat. They played us like an organ. They raised the orange, and then up to red, and then they dropped it back to orange. I mean, they gave these mixed messages which were crazy-making.
The world has changed after September the 11th. It's changed because we're no longer safe. Fly and enjoy America's great destination spots.
We've entered what may very well prove to be the most dangerous security environment the world's known.
Take your families and enjoy life.
Terrorists are doing everything they can to gain even deadlier means of striking us.
Get down to Disney World in Florida.
It's like training a dog. You tell them to sit down, and you tell them to roll over at the same time. Dog doesn't know what to do. Well, the American people are being treated like that. It was really very, very skillfully and
stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive. What happened?
Finally, he demonstrated that the negative effects of the war in Iraq were not expected. Soldiers were dying at a rapid rate, deployment time was being extended, and soldiers, their families, and veterans were not being taken care of.
I know our numbers in the military have gone down. You know, they talk about retention.
You know, never really expected to be deployed this long. I don't think anybody did.
I don't have any clue as to why we're still in Iraq.
If Donald Rumsfeld was here, I'd ask him for his resignation.
With the war not going as planned, and the military in need of many more troops, where would they find the new recruits?
Military experts say 3 times the 120,000 U.S. troops now deployed would be needed to pacify and rebuild the country.
I guess I was tired of
Despite all of this, the president and his government still justified the war. Yet Congress members refused to send their children.
only one had an enlisted son in Iraq. I asked Corporal Henderson of the United States Marine Corps to join me on Capitol Hill to see how many members of Congress we could convince to enlist their children to go to Iraq.
Michael Moore?
Hey, Michael, how are you doing? I'm good. John Tanner.
Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you.
What are y'all doing?
Well, I'm here with Corporal Henderson, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal, I was in the Navy years ago, from 1968 to 72. We had Marines guard the base.
You have kids?
Yeah.
Is there any way we can get them to enlist and go over there and help out with the effort? Got all the brochures. And
one of them got 2 children.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, there's not many congressmen that've got kids over there. Got only one. You know, so we just thought maybe, you guys should send your kids there first. What do you think about that idea?
I don't disagree with it.
Oh, you don't? All right. Oh, good. Well, here, take some brochures then. Here, at least take a Marine brochure. And pass it around. Yeah. Encourage fellow members that, if they're for the war, to get behind it. And send their own.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Congressman? Michael Moore. How you doing? Good. Trying to get members of Congress to get their kids to enlist in the Army and go over to Iraq. Congressman? Congressman Castle. Congressman Doolittle. Michael Moore. I'm wondering if, is there any way to...
Of course, not a single member of Congress wanted to sacrifice their child. I don't know about you.
Michael Moore uses real people in his films, which is obvious. There's also a lot of plot lines. In some scenes, he uses live events, such as TV news channels, clips of President Bush, and TV shows. Such as...
It's going to take a while. You got the time. Mine's worth money. Yours isn't. Set in a bill. I asked you a question. You're here to answer them, not ask them. Now, you listen. I pay you a start. All right, sit down. I'm going to earn it.
Yeah, that's how cops do it. What was going on?
Informative language is used as well, such as interviews and narration. And one example is...
Not knowing what to do, with no one telling them what to do, and no Secret Service rushing in to take him to safety. Mr. Bush just sat there and continued to read My Pet Goat with the children.
There's also use of slow motion, and a good example would be... Well,
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
In his first 8 months in office before September 11th, George W. Bush was on
to make it
vacation,
more
according
interesting
to the
and
Washington
dramatic,
Post,
in some of the scenes,
42%
Moore included
of the
music.
time.
One good example is the George Bush Boston
It was not
vacation.
surprising that Mr. Bush needed some time off. Being president is a lot of work.
In his first
So guys, what do you think about the movie?
It was good. I liked it too. There was a lot of good evidence to prove his point.
Yeah.
Right, they were all unified and organized.
Yeah, I liked when he put jokes in it. It made it interesting, so it won't be just like a movie.
Right.
All right, guys, what do you give it? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.